Hello and welcome back to 365 Days with mxmtoon. I'm Maia, a singer, songwriter, videomaker, Oakland native, and a lover of quirky, newly discovered animals. I'm also a big fan of history. I love untold stories, gross facts, hidden secrets, anything weird, dark, and funky from the past. Each day I'm going to share a few of my favorite deep cuts with you, so let's take a look at today's stories.
It's 365 with mxmtoon. New facts every day, so don't leave too soon. I'm gonna teach you stuff, no it won't be tough. Gonna go a year till you've had enough. It's 365 mxmtoon.
On this day in 2020, scientists discovered a tiny organism that forever changed the way that we think about evolution, and what can even be categorized as an animal. First published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences Journal, a multidisciplinary science academic journal founded in 1915, new research showed that although it was previously assumed that all animals require oxygen to breathe, at least one tiny creature, a parasite called Henneguya salminicola, has evolved so that it can get by without producing oxygen at all. The parasite is what's known as a myxozoan neanderian, a fancy name for a type of animal with only a few cells, in the same family as jellyfish and coral. But the less than 10-celled Henneguya salminicola is much smaller than jellyfish or coral. It's microscopic and makes its home by burrowing into the muscle tissue of salmon. By forming small white cysts in the salmon's muscle, the parasite is able to breathe without any oxygen at all. The parasite's presence isn't thought to cause any harm to the fish, and its little body is too small to infect humans. Basically, it just kind of chills out in a discrete, oxygenless environment, stealing nutrients from its host fish. While there are many single-celled organisms, including protists, an organism that is not an animal, plant, or fungus, and bacteria that don't require oxygen to survive, multi-celled organisms were always previously thought to rely on it, meaning that when the Henneguya salminicola was first discovered, it actually prompted scientists to amend the definition of what an animal actually is. In most organisms, cell organelles called mitochondria are used to convert food into energy as a way to sustain themselves. But what's interesting about the Henneguya salminicola is that it seems to have evolved to drop its mitochondrial genome entirely. Using deep sequencing methods, scientists were surprised to realize that the parasite is one organism, the first ever discovered, to seemingly have evolved backwards, meaning that it actually adapted to lose not just the mitochondrial genome, but all the other nuclear genes that would be involved in the transcription and replication of that genome. The genes needed to breathe were no longer serving the parasite, so over time, it just dropped them entirely. The thought among scientists is that in shedding those genes, the parasite basically saves itself some energy. If it's figured out a way to sustain itself without breathing, then why would it need to keep replicating the mitochondria cells that would enable it to do so? Over many, many years, mitochondrial respiration has become an essential characteristic of multicelled organisms on our planet. Although a few single-cell organisms have lost the ability to breathe over time, it's never been found to happen in something that we would consider an animal before. It's a curious case that raises a lot of new questions that scientists don't necessarily have all the answers to yet. If the parasite isn't surviving on oxygen, then how exactly is it sustaining itself? One popular theory is that it absorbs molecules from its host that have already produced energy and repurposes them for itself. Another theory is that the parasite maybe developed a new oxygen-free way to breathe. If it sounds crazy to you, just know that it sounds crazy to scientists too. But the truth is that we don't yet know enough to say conclusively one way or another what's actually going on. Perhaps the biggest question still puzzling scientists is whether or not Henneguya salminicola is the only multicelled organism to learn how to survive without oxygen, or if it's just the first, and other discoveries might soon follow. There are plenty of corners of the deep blue sea that still have been left unexplored. 80% of the ocean floor has never been observed or mapped, and if this little guy has been hanging out inside of a salmon tissue undetected for all these years, it's pretty reasonable to suspect that other weirdly adapted organisms may be lurking not too far away. And don't worry about its presence in salmon. Henneguya salminicola is harmless to humans. Let's go for something musical. Today, in 1970, a lovable muppet named Ernie hopped into the bathtub of his 2-bedroom apartment on Sesame Street and sang an ode to his second favorite yellow friend, his adorable rubber ducky. Written by Jeff Moss and arranged by Joe Rapiso The children's song was such a hit that it eventually recorded as a 45 RPM single. It later peaked at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 on September 26, 1970, and was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Recording for Children in 1971. Although it didn't end up winning the award, the eventual winner ended up being the album, the Sesame Street Book and Record, which featured the song on it. Not bad for a tone-deaf Muppet with no ears. And now for today's final segment, I'll be going back into my own photo archives to see what I was up to on a February 25th in my life. February 25th, 2020, I got my Spotify Wrapped or something like that. I think I opened it up maybe too late or something, but I have a screenshot here of saying to me that I was one of Rex Orange County's top fans worldwide in their 1 percentile, which makes sense to me. I'm actually surprised it's not even slimmer than that. Rex Orange County has been my top artist on Spotify Wrapped pretty much every single year for the last 3 or 4 years or something like that. I'm a big fan. I've seen him live once, and I would love to see him live again. I am praying that we will get to see concerts in person once more after all of this is over. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow at 365 Days mxmtoon on your preferred social media platforms.
It's 365 with mxmtoon. New facts every day, so don't leave too soon. I'm gonna teach you stuff, no it won't be tough. Gonna go a year till you've had enough. It's 365